This is your Thursday Fantasy PSA. Remember to take all your Thursday night players out of your flex spot. Thank you and have a nice week. Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Rugby with Pads. The same good evening. I'm recording this just before Thursday night football on week 2, but this is your week 2 preview show. Week 2 preview show. You can tell it's been a long day. I'm going to try and get you out over here in under 20 minutes with everything you need to know about who should be starting, who should be sitting, and a generalised view on all of the games coming up this week. Without further ado, let's start with Thursday night football. We have Washington versus Green Bay. This is a tough game. Because Thursday night football is generally just bad. I think we can all agree with that, can't we? Thursday night football is generally a bit rubbish. I just don't think they've quite got it right, and the occasion sometimes it gets ahead of itself. As such, I'm not really looking at either players being fantastic. We can't expect fireworks. I think Green Bay will have the advantage generally and shut down many of the usual weapons that we see from Washington. I don't expect a strong running game from either side because that is one of the strengths in the defense from both teams. However, Jaden is clutch and he will get his time. He will have his, but I expect a multi-TD game from Love. And this is why, very last minute here, my first QB start of the week for week 2 is going to be Jordan Love. I think he's going to be amazing. I also have a sit in this game as well, so I'm doubling up on Thursday night football on my predictions, and my sneaky sit is Terry McLaurin. Yes, you probably drafted him in the 4th round or so. I still think he's going to be a bit behind from preseason, a lack thereof preseason, so he is someone that I am avoiding. But that's Thursday night football. I'll wake up tomorrow, you probably listen to this and you realise it's all wrong, but we shall see. Next game we've got up on the slate, we've got Jacksonville versus Cincinnati. Bengals have started slow once again. Who could have guessed it? Everyone could have guessed it. That's exactly what. The Bengals didn't really have a defense. I don't think Jacksonville really was tested either. The Jags didn't look awful, but you could expect a massive shootout here. I think there's plenty of opportunities to feature Hunter once more, so he is going to be my top player of the week for this game. He's someone I look out of. And I actually had him as a sneaky sit because I didn't think he was going to be any good way earlier when I wrote this. But Tank Bixby is gone. So Travis Etienne, ramp your engines up. Is that even a thing to say? He's someone that I'm going to be looking at. And I think the last thing to note in this game to look out for, you are going to see Joe Burrow's apology tour. And he is going to apologize to his wide receivers by hyper-targeting Jamar Chase. You know it's going to happen. I don't think we have to even mention that that's going to happen, but it is anyway. Next game, we're moving on to New York, Dallas in the early slate again. The Giants D was really good, especially on pass rush. The Cowboys O-line is just okay, I think. I think we saw that in bursts. They managed to get the run game going a little bit. Pass game was iffy, but they kept in there with Philadelphia for long enough. And had there been a second half to that game proper, go back and watch it. It's super weird. It just stopped. Not actually stopped, but it just kind of the team stopped playing to win. It was really weird. Anyway, I still expect there to be a whole lot of throwing, regardless of how strong that pass rush is. Russ will get pressured a lot. He was really terrible under pressure last week. And so I don't expect much consistency from him in the Giants offense, but there's going to be a long bomb to Neighbors coming somewhere. But he is going to be a sneaky sit of the week because I think with so many quality cornerbacks, you're not going to get Kaya Elam covering Neighbors every time. That's why Jahan Dotson did so well last week. I think Neighbors is a bit of a sneaky sit for me, and I'm not going to mark him as my top sit because I've already got a wide receiver in Terry, but he'd be wary, and you can't not sit him at the moment. So you can't not start him at the moment because he's your first round pick. but just be wary. Buyer beware. Chicago, Detroit, Battle of the North. Neither team flashed last week, but I think Ben Johnson's new team looked better for certain last week than Dan Campbell's did. The Lions have too much, though, in terms of personnel, I think, as well as the Dan Campbell factor. I think that is going to... Oh, what's the phrase? Light a fire at their arse, maybe? I don't know what they're going to say. Probably shoot a firework up their crack or something. I don't know what they're going to say. It's late, guys. I'm mixing my metaphors and my analogies as well. Expect the offense to run through Gibbs once more and feature a bit more of Tesla, who I think earned himself some more playing time. Whilst Colson Loveland is my interesting player here, from what I've observed of the Lions, I think they have a weaker linebacker room. They've got an okay pass rush. I think down the seam is where they're very weak, and I could expect him to be targeted quite heavily down the seam with what is a very relatively weak point in the linebacker core. Anyway, that's who I'm going for. Again, you're starting who you're starting. You're probably picking up some players. You probably can't pick up any players from this team outside Luther Burden or Roma Dunze. I don't think this is going to be a DeAndre Swift game, but he will be the featured player. There's no one really to talk about in this game that you don't already know about. LA Rams versus Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward had his welcome to the NFL moment. I think he's going to get a bit more of it. Week 1 nerves are out the way. There's no injury status for Stafford. It's time to lay some pipe, and by pipe, I mean score multiple grounding touchdowns and get loads of sacks from a defense that just plays way beyond their means. We're a talent-poor, kind of mid-defense. However, we do so well. I am fading heavily any of the passing game, any of the running game, any of anything from the Rams. From Tennessee against the Rams. Well, I think the Rams will come into Tennessee and wreck the place. I can really see this, being a statement game for them, especially in a weakened NFC West where you've got players who are out, who are going to be impactful for other teams. We'll get onto that in a minute. New England, Miami, Battle of the AFC East. I don't really know who I want to win this one, but I'm kind of favouring, even though I just favour the Dolphins from history. I don't know why. Mike McDaniels has something against the New England Patriots, but I can't quite pin what it is. And obviously, it's a very different team now. But either way, if Tua plays well, they play well. If Tua plays badly, everyone plays badly. If a Tua performance like last year comes in, it brings everyone, apart from Achan, down for fantasy sakes. There's high volatility from both sides, and it could just be bad. I already talked about picking up Butte this week. I think he could be a sneaky start this week. If he could be the number 1 target holder for New England, I think it could be interesting, although I expect the running game to be a bit more prevalent for New England this week. Who are we talking about next? San Francisco versus New Orleans. You know what? If there was ever a time to have all your players injured, it's now. San Francisco going into New Orleans, who only has Juwan Johnson. Rattler likes his tight end and his running back as well, so pick up those guys. Obviously, you can't pick up Kamara. You can pick up Juwan Johnson. He was 99% available in ESPN leagues at the start of the week. He's probably already there. He might still be on free agents. You never know. If you need a spot start, there you go. San Francisco, you're picking up whoever's left. With Kittle out, Tongus is a spot start at tight and could be interesting because he's probably got some snaps with Mac Jones on the kind of B team, on the second string guys. But it's going to run through CMC. It's going to go through Ricky Pearsall. Those are the players that I would be wanting to take a look at. Pearsall is, definitely a start this week. Definitely someone you should be considering there. Moving forward, we've got Buffalo, New York, another New York Giants, another AFC East affair. We're getting lots of divisional affairs. I love it this early in the season where you get such density of these games. It's Buffalo, but Buffalo are going to give up a lot of yards, though. They gave up a lot of yards to a running quarterback. I think Justin Fields as a runner is as good as Lamar. Hot take. They will bend, they'll give up yards, but they will not break. Expect the Bills to score quite a bit. Expect the Jets to have to rely on a lot of field goals. I don't think this is going to be as close as the bookies have it. We could have another high-scoring affair on our hands, though, at the same time, because the Bills defense isn't that great. They're a bit like the Rams. We've kind of got bits and pieces, but it's not all there really. I don't really think their pass rush is much to be writing home about. I think the MVP factor for Josh Allen is going to do it just like it did last week. And Keon Coleman could be trending further upwards with another good performance, I suspect, against what is not a bad defense. It's just a defense who were trying to get their stuff right against Aaron Rodgers, who is a Hall of Famer. I'm going to put it out there. He's a Hall of Famer. He's playing well this year. I think the Jets will regress to their mean, which is a better defense, and Buffalo will as well. I think it's going to be closer than you think, but not that close. Anyway, Seattle versus Pittsburgh. I don't like anything about this game. I was just looking at the matchups. Got two great defenses, but only one great QB. I do like the look of Calvin Austin. I think he got a lot of snap percentage and he got a lot of target percentage. But don't forget about the revenge factor for DK Metcalf. Oh, it's not really revenge. He asked to get traded. Anyway, the running game will face challenges on both sides of the ball, but Pittsburgh D weren't great against it. However, the Seahawks D O-line, is a downgrade compared to the Jets O-line. Don't expect much from the Seahawks in general. Although I was saying all in on Charbonnet last week, this week I'm not so much. Of that as well, Calvin Austin is definitely a sneaky start of this week. I'm putting him in that kind of flex position. He's definitely there or thereabouts. He would be a flex spot start if he's available on your waiver wire. Cleveland versus Baltimore. What fancy relevance does this have? It's Lamar and nothing much else. Baltimore will get after it early on, so I expect Joe to have to throw out a lot. Joe Flacco, this one. Fannin could be a really good player as well. He showed out and got a lot of high snap percentage, even with Njoku having been paid as well. Baltimore shouldn't take their foot off, but they probably will. So I expect it to be closer than it is. I expect a lot of garbage time points from the Browns. And I expect it to be closer than Vegas thinks. They've got like a 12-point spread or something like that. But a comfortable win and get right for Lamar. Zay Flowers is your guy here. I think he's going to have an amazing day. And Harold Fannin, I think, will be just as good. I think he will be a very good player this week. Moving on, Denver, Indianapolis Colts. Both teams who disappointed or surprised last week. I'm not really sure what to feel. Indianapolis didn't disappoint. They just altered expectations, and Denver did in the exact opposite way. Anyway, we're gassing up Indy a bit too much, in my opinion. Dimes will regress, but can Knicks also go back to savior status at the same time, or will they just kind of meet in the middle and both be a kind of mud off? Everything's equally likely and unlikely. It's like Schrodinger's matchup. I don't know. Either way, I'm not hugely likely to this, but I do expect RJ Harvey to win himself more touches after an explosive run against last week, and Indy to lean on more on what they did last week, which is Tyler Warren, of course. I'd be fading Dobbins a little bit here. I'd be looking at Tyler Warren. I think he's fantastic, and I think he is going to live up to being that rack catch monster that we all hope he's going to be. Carolina versus Arizona. Carolina were bad last week, but Arizona weren't great either. It's predicted to be a touchdown win. I expect to see Murray working on finding Marvin Harrison Jr., but the top player for this week is obviously going to be Connor. The Carolina run defense is rubbish. Expect to see a little bit of Trey Benson mixed in there just to balance the game out a little bit, but this is Connor's game. I think it could be multiple touchdowns for him, and he is a start of the week there at the running back position. Philadelphia, Kansas City, a rematch, obviously, of the Super Bowl. In Arrowhead, Chiefs I think the Chiefs are a slight favourite, depending on which book you're looking at. However, KC will have to work hard and expect a lot of short possession throws to Hollywood Brown. So I expect short catches, avoiding contact against the likes of Jihad Campbell and those hard-hitting guys who are coming through, Zach Bourne as well. The acquisition of Bigsby got me questioning a little bit for a second what Saquon's position is going to be. Is he injured? Is he not? they're not the same player. It's just Howie being Howie and stacking people up. Saquon's going to Saquon. Jalen Hurts is a go, and they will stick to the short, tough game to remove the strength of the Kansas City defense. I expect lots from Hollywood as he is needed to play, and I think he will become a great start for you this week. However, Pacheco in the running game, I just don't see it getting going, especially with Jalen Carter not spitting at people and getting back into the lineup. Okay, Sunday night football, we have Atlanta versus Minnesota. This is the Kirk Cousins off, but it's not Kirk Cousins. It is Penix versus JJ McCarthy. And this is a game I really like. Penix looked great, and he will once again put the team on his back, only to get disappointed by his defense again, because this is going the Vikings' way. Fellow second-year quarterback JJ McCarthy, who made mistakes last week. Yes, he did, but he also did some great things. I don't think he'll go nearly as punished for his rustiness or lack of polish. Let's say that. With more on the line, more time. Sorry, yeah. I did kind of write it on the side, so I'm just kind of half reading it, half kind of ad-libbing it. So a couple of words just go astray sometimes. But I was going to say JJ McCarthy with more time on the ball, because I don't see a pass rush from Atlanta. Expect him to find JJ more frequently this week. Atlanta's going to have some problems when it comes to Penix's decision making and how he decides to use Pitts, because Brian Flores is just going to take things away, and he doesn't just take one thing away, he takes multiple things away. I think we're going to see Mooney have a game if he plays. I don't think Pitts is going to be there, and Pitts, unfortunately, is my tight end kind of doom of the week. I think he's a sit, unfortunately. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think it shows, because he wasn't hyper-targeted at all. I think they were going to try and make it work, and if it didn't, don't force it. I know those are kind of two things in contradiction, but I just don't have a good feeling for Pitts this week, and generally tight ends against Brian Flores' defenses don't fare hugely well. Then we're up to a double header. I think it's a double header. That's crazy. A double header on Tuesday for us, which is Monday Night Football. We've got Tampa Bay versus Houston and Los Angeles versus Vegas Raiders. How can they both be prime time if neither are? I don't know. Anyway, Tampa Bay versus Houston. Tampa were really good. Baker's great. I love watching him. They showed resiliency last week. They didn't make it easy on themselves. It's a tougher test against Houston, who have a great defense but a stuttering offense here. I expect both teams to kind of get more into their stride. Egbuka is the mismatch player once again, whilst Chubb, I think, could see his playtime increase, although be wary of the 50% snap share he had last week. It was sharing the field with others. Bucky is actually a bit of a sit this week, because I think the defense is going to be so good, but he's not going to be a full sit, because he's still Bucky Irving. Los Angeles versus Chargers, versus the Las Vegas Raiders in a final matchup, AFC West matchup here. Who am I liking? I'm liking the Chargers, of course. The Chargers should have a field day, given this, but Crosby will become a one-man wrecking show once again, so expect lots of dump-offs, because they're going to need to keep Herbert healthy. And those dump-offs are going to go everywhere. They're going to go to Keenan, Ladd, Hampton. Expect a bit of spread play here. The Chargers will overpower them, but this budding Raiders team, I think, has something in them. The Chargers' run defense isn't the best, so Ashton Jeanty could have his breakout at least and keep them in it. But I'm looking at Keenan Allen as being a surprise start this week if you need him. If any of your players have been injured, if you had that worthy injury, Keenan Allen, I think, is a great pickup, although I would have probably gone for Hollywood over him. So where does that leave us with your starts and sits? Well, let's start with your starts. I'm starting tonight. Hopefully you'll be hearing. You might be hearing this afterwards, but hopefully I was right. You can tell me straight away. Jordan Love is my start of the week at quarterback. At running back, I've got James Conner. I think he's going to have a field day. Wide receiver, PPR monster game for Hollywood Brown. Tyler Warren as the tight end. And in my flex, I've got Calvin Austin. I think he is a good spot start for you this week. In the not so hot category, my sits of the week, I've got Tua. Even though I think they might win this game, I don't think it's going to be off Tua. I think he can have a bad game and they still win somehow, because they've just got a sheerly amazing offense. But I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I just don't feel it. And the volatility there is just too much for me to recommend a start. So he is a sit regardless. Based on volatility, I'll go off that. Pacheco is a sit for me. Terry McLaurin, I just don't think he's going to get himself going yet. He's going to be a £30 million placeholder until he gets into full stride. Pitts is my tight end sit of the week, and my flex, I had to go for someone who you're all starting. I can guarantee if you've got him, you're starting. Ken Walker, get on the train. It's Zach Charbonnet's team now, and will be forevermore. And that is your lot, guys. I was trying to get you out under 20 minutes. I think I did this bit under 20 minutes. I'll probably rambled a bit too long. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you all. If you like this, go follow me on all the socials, all that fun stuff at Rugby with Pads. You can go support the pod, www.rugbywithpads.com. You can support the pod for a little £1, get yourself some merch, all that fun stuff, do some personalised stuff, and we're doing some newsletters as well. And it just helps, run the cost of the show as well. But thank you so much for listening. Good luck in your matchups this week, unless you're playing me, of course. I will see you very soon, almost immediately, in fact, because the game's starting very soon on the Virtual Gridiron.